In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Hello and greetings. This is Muhammad Suleiman Ahmadzai, here with a new session for you, my friends. After the clipboard category, the second category is called image. Image, picture, photo, they all mean the same thing. Image means picture. Just like we have imagination, which means to imagine. Try to remember, with the image category, it's clear that we can work with it better. I'm going to open a picture now. Look, here we have an image. Sometimes, when you want, for example, your picture, when you crop it, it brings in a white border around it. There's always a page that's bigger than the actual picture. So, what happens when we click on crop? It tries to keep only the part of the image we selected and remove the rest. It's not just about the white border. If there is a white border, for example, we've selected it, and when we crop, it removes the extra parts from all four sides. It's not just to remove the white areas. It's like saying, among these horses, we only want the black horse to remain. We don't want these other objects anymore. So what do we tell it to do? Crop. Only the object we selected will remain for us. Selection is different, too. That means before we crop this, first we have to specify our selection, what exactly we're selecting. If I select here, it's rectangular. Rectangular means either square-shaped or rectangular. Sometimes it's a square. When the width and height are equal, I call it a square. But if either the width or the height is greater, that's called a rectangle. So, in short, if you're selecting in a square or rectangular shape, use this first option. But if you choose freeform, then it doesn't have any specific shape. In my opinion, it's just like your mouse pointer. Wherever you select, it will select in that same shape. Meaning, it depends on the selection form of your mouse, whatever path you draw. Or if you move the mouse pointer exactly, it will select in exactly that way. It's not square-shaped. If we want to select the whole image, we say select all. And if we want to delete the image, what can we say? Delete. The image will be deleted. There's another well-known button for us, invert selection. Invert selection is just like I explained to you in the previous program. For example, right now our selection is this black horse. If we say delete, which part will be deleted? That will be deleted too, because that's our selection. But if we say, no, our selection is like this, but we want everything except this to be selected, and the rest to be deleted. First, we invert the selection. What do we do? Invert selection. It means, wherever we've selected, you select the opposite. If we say delete ourselves, the opposite parts will be deleted instead of this one. So what does it always do to our selection? It flips it. Wherever you've selected, for example, if we selected half of the photo, like here, I've selected exactly half of the photo. We selected this area. Now, if we delete, it deletes right here. But when we tell it to invert, the selection flips to the opposite side next to the selected area. So instead of that side, if we delete or make any changes, it will apply to the opposite side of this selection. It will affect the opposite part again. So that's the function of invert selection. The shortcut for select is Ctrl+E, and for the others, if they don't have a built-in shortcut, we press Alt with H and G. Then it will be written out. For example, SAR has its full shortcut written. In our example, let's say you want to go into the same SA category. Then R. Its full shortcut is written directly. Alright, after crop, after selection, below we have something called transparent selection. Transparent selection, for example, let's say we've drawn an object somewhere on the page. When we select it, for instance, we want to bring it onto a photo. When we select it and move it, usually it moves along with its background. But when we choose transparent selection, our selection becomes transparent. It doesn't have a background. So whenever you select something from somewhere and bring it over, only the object itself comes. Its background doesn't come along with it. Whereas if it's rough, whenever you move it, its background always comes along with it. Alright, after crop and after select, here we have something called resize. Before we work on resize, first we'll work on the rated option. After that, we'll get to resize and I'll explain that to you as well. Try to remember, rated is for when we want to rotate the photo to different angles. In the example, it says to rotate the same photo 90 degrees to the right. Or press the extra control, or it wants to rotate the photo 90 degrees to the left. Or we can select this for it. Rotate is 180 degrees. That means it rotates 180 degrees. If we tell it to make a flip for us, Flip means to make it reversed, either vertically or horizontally. For example, if it's flipped horizontally, the content becomes upside down. If we want it to be upside down vertically or horizontally, one is horizontal, the other is vertical. When we select horizontal, it gets flipped horizontally. Each time we click, it gets rotated, and if we select vertical, it flips vertically. You see, before there wasn't a horse image, it would come at this angle. Now when we do it, it comes at this angle. That's because we made it rotated. Still, it's not that noticeable. For example, we make the image this small. For example, we go to resize, and we say, let's make it to this size. Now try, for instance, to copy this. We held Control and said it gets copied. Now try, if we select this and tell it to flip it vertically for us. Now see how clear and obvious it becomes that flip means this state. It completely reverses it. Or vertically, for example, if I select this and tell it here to flip vertical. See? Completely. Now it becomes clear that, for example, no matter what angle we rotate a photo, this flip refers to those complete reversal states. After that, we have something called resize. Resize is for the size of the photo. If we want to make a photo a bit bigger or smaller, obviously we use this. For example, this is the photo. We say, make this bigger for me. The shortcut is Ctrl+W. Here, first it asks us which unit of measurement we want to use. Are you going by percentage or by pixels? If you choose pixels, you can write that its value should be 250 pixels, 300 pixels, or you can write it as a percentage, 100%, 50%, 80%. With percentage, the design looks completely clean. So here, when we tell it to make the width of these photos 120% for us, the height of that photo becomes 20%. When I say make its width, for example, 100%, its height also becomes 100%. Because we said that maintain aspect ratio is on, it always does this. It keeps these connected to each other. If we turn them off, they are not connected to each other. If I come and say, for example, make it 120, it has nothing to do with the height. When I hit OK, only its width increases, and if, for example, I then say that this time I want to set the height, when I do that, the width doesn't change at all, because that option is off. Whereas if that is on, and we say here that I want the width to be 120, well, the height also becomes 120. In both cases, it gets scaled up proportionally. There's another point here that a lot of people get wrong. When we want to, for example, enlarge a photo, there's a limit to how much you can scale it up. For instance, let's say this is the photo. Even many people who have studied computers, and even some of my professors I've asked, don't know this. So I'm saying for us, notice that when I click crop directly, why doesn't this selection appear for anyone? What happens when I say crop? It removes these white areas. If it wasn't selected, we would have to select it. Because there was no photo, it would realize that it can't be selected. So don't just crop directly like that. Notice, I come and say, increase the width of the photo for us. I say, I don't care about the height, just the width. I turn this off. For example, I say, make the width for us, say, 200. So right now, we've basically doubled its current size. It was 100, and now we've made it 200. The point is, its size has been doubled. It's become twice as big as before. When I ask the teachers again, for example, some people say, then bring this back down for yourself. For example, from here, you can use the control for preferences. It tells us, for example, it writes the degree, so set it back to the normal state. Again, here it puts it back to the top, which was 100 before. It says if you set it to the top, then it returns to the normal state, which doesn't work. Because whenever we enter this page, it calculates from the top. That is, whenever we enter this page, whatever image you have here, no matter the size, it calculates it from the top. It says for the top size here, we need to write a slightly larger value so the size changes. Otherwise, the image size will be normal. So what do we do? If the initial size from the top was doubled, we divide it by 2. We always divide the second top value by 2 as well, so it returns to normal. Here, we write 50. Or for example, if I first go and say that I want to make this image, say, 4 times bigger, that means it was created 4 times larger than before. It's 4 times bigger than before. Now, if we want to bring it back to normal, this time we have to divide that 4 by 4. We have to write 25 so that this image is at our lower option. That's why it should be off. If we wrote 25, the image would come back again to its previous state. But for example, it makes an image with a size of 500. That means it multiplied it by 5. But you can still write any number you want. For example, write 20. Here you have to divide it. Otherwise, we can't write the header. But it still takes its height into account. If its height becomes 2, then we divide it again. Here, we don't have anything. For example, in one way here it shows you, it gives you another horizontal skew. It tilted at an angle. Suppose I tell it to tilt it for me, say, by 20 degrees. It applies this 20 degrees to another one. Now, if I press the Control key, for example, it tilts it vertically by 30 or 20 degrees like this. It just gives the degree and tilts it, either horizontally or vertically. Then we go back to the normal state again. For now, we press the Control key again so it returns to normal. But actually, in the previous version, we used minus here to do the job. A negative vertical degree brings it back to the normal state again. So that was about the functions of rotate, resize, crop, and also the selections we had here related to the image category. After this, we'll work on the other length and shape categories as well, hopefully in a video for tomorrow. And finally, dear friends, we kindly ask that if you found these videos helpful, please like the videos to support us and help the channel grow. Subscribe to the channel, and we hope to see you in the next sessions. Goodbye.